We're gonna see today. We're gonna learn to see if I still got it. I'm gonna be doing this live because I feel that I've gotten rusty making these type of lives, and I chose a topic that I'm really passionate about because there is a stigma that comes with you being an immigrant in Russia. Someone who's not from Russia will say, well, you're living under a dictatorship. And I feel like other channels clickbait this topic and they don't really explain anything. They just say, how is it living under a dictatorship? Or is Russia really a dictatorship? And I feel like I'm going to be able to make a live video first today and then eventually make a video explaining these things. All right, that's the lie number one, that we're living in a dictatorship under Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation. The other big lie is that there's nothing that exists outside of Moscow and Saint Petersburg, and that is something that other YouTubers also exploit, saying, oh, I'm in the remote town or the remote village in the middle of nowhere. Of course, Russia is massive, but it is not a country that is desolate. So in this live, I'm going to be going over those 2 points. I'm going to be going over these 2 points in a way that I feel that is unique to my channel and in a way that I feel that no one's ever done it before. Good morning, Ginger. Thank you so much for joining us. And Chris, I agree with you. I don't see him as a dictator. And before we start, I'm going to try to hand out some memberships. Let me see. Because it's been a while since we've done these memberships, and I am able to hand these out. So let's see. All right. By the way, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if the sound is coming in okay. And we're going to do this again. Let's do this again. I totally missed last month, and I've been dealing with my son's birth, and I'm getting back on the ball. All right, I changed the sound to the other screen here. Hopefully we get some sound coming in. I love these membership gifts. Holy shit. Ginger, I love you. Thank you so much. Sahar, thank you for subscribing. Let's get this show on the road. Ginger, thank you so much. I'm going to now start the show, okay, guys? I am super duper motivated to go back on this type of live, and really happy to have some original viewers back. Let me get this going. So notifications, let the notifications just play their role. For the people who are just gaining their memberships, please use the emojis that are for members only. Enjoy them. And what can I say? These are really cool things that we have for channel members. And as soon as these notifications are done going through, we're going to start the show. We're going to wait for... thank you so much, Ginger. There it is right there. We love you, and now we can get this show on the road, okay? So, it is said that Russia is a desolate place, that there is nothing outside of Moscow and Saint Petersburg. And this is going to be the first lie that we're going to break through and prove wrong. So, the way we're going to do that is by looking at some statistics and talking about the reality of the situation. So, first of all, let's learn what the population of Russia is, and we're going to be comparing this with the United States because that's where I'm from. Okay? So, as we know, the population of the United States is 340 million. This is something that was polled in 2024. Now, 340 million is definitely a lot. We're looking at a country that is thriving in numbers. And why am I comparing it to the United States? Well, it's a huge landmass, and it's I would say that it is a world leader just like Russia. So again, I'm an American and we're starting off with the United States. Now, this is the population of the Russian Federation, okay? 143 million. Now, to a lot of people, this might seem like a little bit because other countries that are much smaller than Russia have a larger population. But we have to remember, guys, we have to remember that Russia has gone through a different type of history than these other smaller countries, right? We're going to get into the Great Patriotic War later, but let's talk about geography and how that affects population. Obviously, when you have warmer climates, when you have suitable climates for population booms, you're going to see what's happening in the United States, where some of the most populated states are sunny and warm states. But obviously, Russia has all types of geography. But I want to point this out because I think it's important for you to know this. I think it's important for you guys to understand that Russia, where it sits right now, is actually pretty far up. Okay, please let me know if you can read this. Um, please let me know if you can read this. It says Russia's southernmost city of Derbent. Okay, this is Russia's southernmost city, and you know, the more southern you go from the Russian Moscow, you're gonna go into the equator where it's naturally warmer, right? Let me know in chat if you're able to see these things. I'd really appreciate it. If you can read the screen, let me know and we'll continue. Hey, no problem, no problem. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. But this is the first thing I wanted to mention. You have to take geography into account. And Russia's most southernmost city, Derbent, is located approximately at 42 degrees northern latitude. This is comparable with Chicago. So this is a huge revelation for some of you guys who don't know about geography, because look at where Chicago is. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you where Chicago is here on a map. And you're going to notice it is very high up there, right? I'll move myself up here. And if you pay attention, the most southernmost city of Russia, which would be towards the equator, and that makes it warmer, is actually at the same latitude as Chicago, and that is northern the United States, where it snows, where it's cold for so many people. So take into account that Russia has a much harsher climate, okay? And this is not to say that because it's such a rough climate, the population is going to be desolate like Westerners think. No, that is not the case. But I needed to show you that if you put it into perspective, it's actually a huge population, because the southernmost city is one of the most northernmost cities in the United States. Now, let's get into the really fun information. Okay, The fun stuff is the historical stuff. We all know that Russia lost a big part of its population in the Great Patriotic War. And we need to rethink before we speak when we say that Russia has a small population. Well, we have to think about, well, where did that population go? Now, a lot of people obviously do not care to think about history because a lot of their countries erase history or they simply do not care. Alfredo, thank you so much for the donation. Greetings from Chicago. That's hilarious. So, thank you so much. Shout out to Chicago, which was mentioned in this live. Thank you, Alfredo. So, continuing with this topic here, the Great Patriotic War is honestly a pivotal moment in Russia's history. Why? Well, because let's look at the losses from the United States here to compare with the Russians. Approximately 417,000 to 420,000 Americans died in World War II. Okay? The reason why I'm showing you this is because 500,000 people is a lot of people, and that will put a dent in your population. But you must understand that the men and women who died in the Second World War or the Great Patriotic War in the United States were men that already either had families or were men of fighting age, of course, but some of them already had families, some of them already procreated. Now, look at this interesting, this next slide that I have for you here. This is what makes the great difference. Okay, the Soviet Union lost approximately 27 million people. This was the Soviet Union. This is not only Russia, of course, but you have to wonder how many of those people in the Soviet Union would have moved into Russia anyways. Okay, this is something really important to take into account. Now, this here, it gives you an approximation of how many Russians may have died. And it says approximately 8.7 million, the largest portion of these were ethnic Russians, okay? So it also mentions the Ukrainians, but 8.7 million were ethnic Russian people. Can you imagine losing 8.7 million? And these were military deaths, okay? Because you can see here it says military deaths, but the total death in the Soviet Union was 27 million. So 19 million deaths were civilians. This is where you lose a huge amount of population. Let me explain to you why. Okay? Try to keep up with me because this is a very important part of this live stream. If 19 million of them were civilians, that's counting women, that's counting men of lower than military age, which means they haven't procreated. They erased generations that were going to create generations. So when the Soviet Union loses soldiers on the front line, some of those soldiers already have daughters and sons. But when you kill civilians and 19 million of them died, you're talking about children and women who probably haven't had kids of their own. So you're erasing future generations, 2, 3, 4, or infinite amount of generations when you kill someone who hasn't procreated. The United States lost 420,000 at most. These were mostly military men who mostly have already probably procreated, but you don't kill men of younger ages, women and children. These are the people that are going to boost your numbers in the future. Yeah, so the difference is massive. The difference is massive. 27 million, but if we say just the Russian military, 8.7 million compared to 420,000. A lot of people again say that the Russian country is a desolate country where people only live in Moscow and Saint Petersburg. Now, this next portion, I believe, is going to change a lot of your guys' mind as to what Russia is. Before we continue, I would like to know where you guys are watching from. I appreciate your guys' views. I appreciate your guys' support on the channel. Let me know where you're watching from. This next portion is absolutely incredible, and I don't think that a lot of people know this next fact. This next portion is something that I did while I was doing my research. I was actually impressed. I was even left in admiration of Russia. Nikita, oh, Pavel watching from Russia. Okay, let's continue. From Germany, Deutschland. Hallo, Deutschland. Also, los geht's, Leute, los geht's. Missouri. Love you, Ginger, love you. From Missouri. So, Australia. Wow. Here comes the next portion. Let me set it up. Let me set the premise for you guys. The United States is known for having mega cities, is known for being metropolis country with so many cities. It's very urban because it has the weather to provide urban areas. Now, the reason why people say that Russia is desolate is because they usually see the majority of the Russian population in the European side of Russia. And this is the reality. It's true. Russians' population is usually west of the Urals, but I bet you would be surprised. I bet you would be surprised to learn that Russia actually has more cities over 1 million with over 1 million population than the United States. I'm going to repeat that. Russia has more cities with more than 1 million population than the United States. And when I read this, and this is not counting the metropolitan areas, of course, because metropolitan areas are ridiculous. Strictly cities, Russia has more cities with 1 million population than the United States. Let's look at the facts here. So here it says there are currently 9 cities in the United States with a population over 1 million. And then it goes to naming the cities and it gives you the population. Okay, so here we have New York being the largest with 8. Obviously, the city is going to be massive. And you can see these are the cities with over 1 million. Dallas, Texas, scratching the surface at 1.3 million. Okay. Now, before I show you the other slide here, I'm going to give you kind of like a new census, which is 2025, the most up-to-date census of what the population is, okay? So here we go. Here we can see that there's more cities with more than 1 million, but it stops at 12. But if we count San Jose, California, because it's very close, San Jose, California, it would be 13 cities with 1 million population or more. 13 cities with 1 million or more in population. Now it's time to show you the Russian side. How many cities would you guys think? I want you guys to guess right now how many cities in Russia are over 1 million in population, okay? How many cities do you guys think? The United States has 13 cities with over 1 million population. I want you guys to guess. Hahaha says 30. That's too many. No, 200, that's too much. This is 1 million population. 1 million, guys. Because if that's more than the population of Russia. If it's 200, it's more than the population. Nice guesses, nice guesses. Eric, 18. Dwarf says 15. Nice, that's a good guess. All right, well, let's continue here. I'll show you guys. 100, second guess. No, no, that's too much. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to ask me some questions and just wait. Um, and by the way, if you don't understand English, someone who speaks Russian, please let our Russian viewers know, or someone who doesn't speak, that this live video will be translated after it's uploaded, okay? So, the correct answer is 16. The correct answer is 16 cities, but it's actually even more than that because Tumen has hit a million, they say. So it's 17. But Russia has 16 cities with a population of over 1 million people. 16. Give me a second, guys, to answer some of your guys' questions. Let's see. Ginger says, my country's population is 8.6. My city population. Oh, wow. Listen, I was shocked to learn this fact that Russia had more cities with a million people or more. This says a lot, guys. This says that the Russian population and the Russian people or the future immigrants that come to Russia are spread out in a way that it's not like in the United States. This means that Russian industry, this means that Russia economy is going to be growing at a much healthier pace because the United States is concentrated only in certain areas, but the future of Russia is actually looking very bright. This is me proving wrong that Russia is a desolate country. Not only has Russia more cities with a million population, but Russia was also devastated in the Great Patriotic War and is trying to recover what it lost in that conflict and what it sacrificed for the world. So by showing you that there's more cities with a million population, that means that 14 cities are outside of St. Petersburg and Moscow with a million people. Some countries barely have a million people, and Russia has 16 cities with huge populations, okay? 14 of those cities being outside of St. Petersburg and Moscow. Now I'm going to answer some of your guys' questions. I'm gonna take a break, a pause. If you guys could please put like on this live. If you're enjoying the information that's being given to you, if you're enjoying some of the knowledge that I'm throwing out there, perhaps this is new to you, consider putting like. You should explain the quick rebuild after the war so Russians didn't turn into popsicles and permafrost. Yes, so a huge innovation and engineering happened uh, during the Great Patriotic War and after, because obviously the country had to rebuild. And a lot of people don't know this, but the innovation that was coming from the colder regions like Siberia, the different technologies that people had, like radiators on the buildings, living in the same communal buildings. A lot of our windows here in Russia are double layered. They would put newspaper in between the glasses. They would live together and leave some of the rooms that they didn't use uninhabited and piled with each other in certain rooms. A lot of these things they had to pass down to the next generation. This is how they survived during the war. This is how they survived after the war. I think that Russians are a unique people because they are so ready to struggle and deal with the weather. I hope this answers a little bit of what you wanted to hear, Ginger. This is how they survived by coming together in communal buildings, putting newspaper in between the windows. It's just doing everything as a community. The radiators that warm the buildings, this was vital for their survival in the winters, and this is something that Russia was doing during the Soviet Union, especially. There are many of cities in Siberia that have over a million. Many, by many, I mean at least two. Okay, let's see. Rec says, Dan, I work as a taxi driver. I work today, Sunday. Do you think I'm crazy? I think that you're blessed to be able to work. I hope your body feels healthy. Shout out to you and shout out to all the taxi drivers. Thank you for watching. Let's see other questions. I enjoy your do-it-yourself videos. If I could, I would send you my broken furniture. Thank you, Marina. Thank you for the support. Um, Rec again says, Dan, I have a Renault, and I work as a taxi driver. Renault. I think this is a French car. Yes. Dwarf Star says, what do you think about the Venezuelan situation? American ships in Venezuela. I think that it's just America again abusing the Monroe Doctrine, I think it's called. I think it's the Monroe Doctrine where America said, hey, nobody's allowed to impose its will on the American continents, but it's just the way America abuses the Monroe Doctrine because it imposes itself in the American continents. I hope that answers your question. Здравствуйте. Привет from Ural, Russia. Mari says, there's nobody or nothing that can stop Russians, especially the dirty Yankees, says Drops. Okay. Have you heard about the Black Hawk operation in Pakrovsk? Sorry, Pakrovsk. Jeez. Yes, I heard about it and failed operation. Horrible. Ese Dani, saludos viejón, felicidades por el bebé, muchas gracias, saludos, muchas gracias. Mi hijo está durmiendo ahorita y ojalá que se mantenga dormido. So let's continue with the show. I hope if you guys have any other questions, we can take another break a little bit later. Please do consider asking more questions. I enjoy engaging with you guys. And remember, please put like, support the live stream, support the channel. Let's try to get to 100 likes. This is something that took me quite a while to get all of these things together. It's not so easy curating all of these things. I said it's a horrible operation, as in horrible militarily, like horrible leaders. They have no idea how to fight. I'm a war veteran. This is how I express myself when I see a bad operation. I say it's horrible, as in it was shit. As in the people who did it are bad. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. Tyumen and Novosibirsk maybe over 1 million, but here in Siberia, we don't think they are northern cities at all. What's so great about Trump? Yeah, he is losing his marbles. And let's continue the show. Oops. All right. So earlier on the beginning of this live, I told you guys what we were going to be going over today. We were going to be going over two different lies that the people like to tell about Russia. We already showed you that number one was a lie. There is life outside of Moscow and Saint Petersburg. We showed you that by explaining that actually Russia is very highly populated and there are many cities with over 1 million people. And this is very simple to disprove. But now it's time to talk about the dictatorship. How people always say that Vladimir Putin is a dictator. Well, I think that a lot of people who make this type of video, they don't do a good job of explaining this. Okay, I feel like they don't really dig deeper and explain things and articulate their own thoughts. Okay, a lot of YouTubers, they say, "Oh, I live under a dictatorship under Putin." No, that's not how it works, guys. Now it's time to break the freaking glass, break through that glass and talk the truth. First, we're going to be looking what dictatorship means, what a dictator is, and then we're going to be going over history again. I love history. I love looking at numbers. I like looking at what's happened before. So let's go ahead with the show. As we can see here, a dictatorship is a form of government where a single person or a small group holds absolute power with few or no constitutional limitations. The power is often maintained through force or intimidation, suppressing political opposition and controlling media and civil liberties. Unlike a democracy, the leaders are not chosen through free and fair elections. Okay, I have a problem with this because in the definition of dictatorship, it says something very important here. It says that a single person or a small group holds absolute power. So, would you guys consider a small group the two-party system in the United States? Wouldn't that make the United States a democratic dictatorship as well? Because they are a democracy, but it's held by two parties only. And the definition of a dictatorship says it could be one person or it could be a small group of people. And I would say that two-party system is a small group dictatorship. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the chat. As I was doing my research and reading these things, I was thinking, wait a minute, there's no way that this doesn't apply for the United States because a dictatorship is not just one person. It is a small group of people or one person. So it occurred to me that the United States is a democratic, well, it's a representative republic that covers itself as a democracy that's actually a dictatorship because the United States is actually ran by a small group of people. But let's continue. Let's dig deeper into this, okay? Now it's time for me to prove to you that actually Vladimir Putin is not a dictator in Russia. Hello, Bort. Thank you so much. Hey, Michael, welcome, my friend. By the way, if you are a brand new member, remember you have the emojis. You can spam them as much as you want. You can use them. I think they're pretty cool. And every time we talk about Ukraine and we talked about the nasty green, greedy green goblin, it's up to you guys to put the little green goblin emoji. So if you guys are members, practice using your emojis and put on the screen the greedy green goblin, which is Zelensky. Yeah, it's been a while, good fellas. Let's continue here. Now, there it is, the nasty little green goblin. I'm going to now explain to you why Vladimir Putin is not a dictator by talking about other European leaders who have been leaders for a long time. Now, Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, was the Chancellor for 16 years. Okay, and the reason why I'm bringing her up and why it's so symbolic is because Germany had another chancellor who was a leader for a long time. But would you believe that Angela Merkel was chancellor for a longer time than this other leader? Can you guys guess who I'm talking about? Who do you guys think Angela Merkel was chancellor longer than in Germany? I'll give you guys 2 minutes to try to guess. And 16 years is a long time to lead a country. And by the way, the economy and the country itself of Germany after 16 years of Angela Merkel was not the best. Was not the best, guys. Okay? And I think honestly that Angela Merkel being chancellor for 16 years in supposedly uh, a, a European democracy where people are not supposed to be leaders for so long, it blows my mind. Well, nobody guessed the right person, so I'm going to show him to you right now. Here we go. Adolf Hitler was in power for about 12 years. Wait, are you telling me that Angela Merkel was chancellor longer than the Austrian painter? Okay, so the Austrian painter was chancellor for 12 years. Okay, and the Austrian painter, uh, obviously, he in history is known as, we're not going to get into that, but the Austrian painter is hated by the world, and he's known as a bad guy because he was a dictator. He was a dictator who ruled Germany for 12 years, but Angela Merkel led the German country for 16 years. That is 4 more years than the Austrian painter. That is 4 more years than the most evil person in the world. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this is because now I'm going to talk about Vladimir Putin's reign in Russia. And I'll call it a reign because what he's done has been meteoric. Here we have the information on the president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin. So this page says that he's been president for a total of 16 years. You have to remember that he was the prime minister for those 4 years. From 2008 to 2012, he was the prime minister. Okay, and he was president from 2000 to 2008. This was the same time as President George W. Bush in the United States. And after he stopped being the prime minister, he won the presidency in 2012, and he continues to be the president until now. So it's actually a little bit more than 16 years. But why is that important? Why is it so important for the Western countries to say if a leader's been in power for so long, it's a bad thing? Angela Merkel, at the time of her 16 years, was setting a precedent that had never been done in the European Union. 16 years. Okay? If we look at the timeline, if we look at the timeline, 16 years, and she stopped being the chancellor in 2021. Okay? By then, the president of the Russian Federation had way less years than her. So nobody complained, nobody said anything when Angela Merkel from Germany was leading Germany for 16 years, 4 years longer than the Austrian painter. Nobody said anything. Now, the Western countries point their finger at the Russian president, and they don't understand that after the fall of the Soviet Union, the world wanted to destroy Russia. The world wanted Russia to break into little pieces. The world wanted Russia to be weak. And Vladimir Putin is that hero that they needed the most. And he came when they needed him the most. And why do I say that is because every person who I talk to in Slyudanka, whenever they talk about Vladimir Putin, they say he brought us out of nothing and he made a country for us. And that kind of approval, if you look at the polls, he's like over 80%. He's democratically elected by over 80% in the Russian Federation. And the way that people speak about him is so high that you have to understand, you have to be here to believe it. This country is not like the United States where it's always like 50-50 are hating each other. Everybody's always rioting, everybody's always protesting. I've lived here for 4 years, and you just don't get a sense that people want a new president. If they wanted him, they would get rid of him. Now, there's another very important topic inside of Russia. Oh, actually, I'll take a break here and I'll take a few questions because this next portion is going to justify Russia not having a dictatorship even further. And we're going to go into detail. So I'm going to get Mr. Blemo. Thank you so much for subscribing and riding in on a bear like Putin. By the way, if you're not subscribed and you want to see yourself riding in on a bear like Vladimir Putin, all you have to do is subscribe. It's free. We're going to take about 5 minutes here to answer some of your guys' questions. Go ahead, if you have any questions for me, ask them now. This next part of the live is very unique. I don't think enough people talk about this, and I feel that this is a very interesting topic. Let's see here. Any questions, guys? Any questions? Let's see if we made it over 100 likes. We're over 100 likes. Thank you so much, guys. Wow, that's awesome. Alex says, this is exactly the topic I'm interested in learning more about. I'm so tired of the narrative in the West. Well, thank you so much for being here and letting me show you another reality, but also backing it up with facts. You guys see the numbers, and it's very simple to find. How does the US Constitution and the Bill of Rights compare to the Russian Constitution and their Bill of Rights? I don't have enough information on that, but that's actually something that I'm going to look into in the future. Why? Because I feel that the Bill of Rights in the United States and the Constitution gets kind of messed with a lot, and it's not supposed to be a bendable thing. So you got me on that, King, and I promise you in the future I will talk about it. Let's see. What choices do Russian people have except Putin? There are other political parties. Yes, there are other political parties, and actually on the ballot, I've seen on the television that there's different options. In fact, there's even still the believe it or not, there's still the Communist Party in Russia, but it's not so popular. So you understand that other parties are not so popular because right now what's happening is Vladimir Putin is still running on a lot of steam. There's a lot of steam, and Russia has other parties, and it has more than two. I can tell you that. I can guarantee you that it has more than two. In the United States, there's more than two, but those two are the biggest ones, and they are the richest ones. Hey, Mr. Wonderful, welcome, brother. No, nobody's been trolling. Everything's been really, really nice. Thank you so much for being here. So, if we don't have any more questions, it's my pleasure to bring to you one of the more interesting facts about this live. Already we went over that Russia has more cities with a population over 1 million people. Now, believe it or not, Russia has obviously more ethnic people, native ethnic people of the land. When the United States was being colonized, they erased the Native Americans. Russia, on the other hand, came into the Siberian territories over the Urals and brought people into the Russian Empire, and the Soviet Union kept those people in the Soviet Union. The Russian Federation has kept those people in the Russian Federation. It is called a federation for a reason. I want to know, the viewers, did you guys know that Russia actually has republics? Okay? Some of these republics have their own presidents. Some of these republics have their own leaders, their own head of states in the different republics. So I'm going to show you now some of these republics. Now, here we have, there are 24 republics in Russia. These are a type of federal subjects, each with its own republican form of government located within the Russian Federation. Okay, 24. I myself live next to Buryatia. Buryatia is a republic where it's composed of Buryat people. These are an ethnic native people to this part of Russia. Okay, and here you can see these are the different republics. Some of these I can't say, but I can say Altai, Bashkortostan, Buryatia, Chechen Republic, Chuvash, Dagestan, Donetsk, Ingush, Kabardin-Balkar, Kalmykia, Karachayevo, Karelia, Khakassia, Komi, Lugansk. Of course, some of these are republics that were recently annexed, but these are republics nonetheless. The Chechen Republic again, which was already mentioned up here, Tartarstan, Sakha, this is Yakutia. Okay, so you get the gist of it, right? You understand. These are republics with their own head of states, guys. This is something that the United States could never. The United States has states and they're governed by their own governors and they can make their own laws, but there's a limited amount of things that those people can do. Okay, the state power has become so weak compared to the government power. Okay, the state at a local state level, the governor of California can only do so much. I would really like for you to look up what the Chechen Republic looks like. And a lot of people call that guy a dictator. How could he be a dictator inside of a dictatorship, right? So this is kind of like a paradox. All of these people who they call dictators, other little smaller republics inside of Russia. I forget his name. What is his name? Kadyrov? What is the leader of Chechnya? Kadyrov, da? So a lot of the Western news calls Kadyrov. Is that his name? I think I was thinking I was making it up. So why is it that the Western countries call Kadyrov a dictator? You can't be a dictator if there's already a dictator, Putin. So it's kind of like a paradox. It doesn't make any sense. Kadyrov. Okay. Here we have more information for you guys. Yes, there are other presidents in Russian republics. Okay. So in the beginning we heard that a single person must lead or a small group of people. Now, because there's so many republics, and this is a republic, this is not like an oblast. Oblast also have governors. Oblast is like a state in the United States, but these are republics with presidents. Some of them have head of states. How is it possible that having so many republics, you could be called a dictatorship? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. This is one way that you can say to people, wait, how could Russia be a dictatorship? How could Putin be a dictator if there's 24 other republics with their own heads of states and many other oblasts with their own governors? Okay, and they have 4 parties at least in Russia. So let's continue, because this next part is one of my favorite parts. This to me is probably the biggest middle finger to the Western world. This guy right here. Okay, do you guys know who this guy is? Bukele? Let me know in the chat if you know who Nayib Bukele is. Do you guys know who Nayib is? This is the leader of El Salvador. And he is throwing the biggest middle finger. He's going like this to the United States. He's going like this to the rest of the world. He is the president of El Salvador. El Salvador is a democratic country. They elect their presidents. If you don't know who he is, I'm going to give you a brief history lesson about his country. His country was in a civil war, a guerrilla warfare, a war that devastated its population. During this war, many of its citizens left to the United States. In the United States, they started a gang, La Mara Salvatrucha, and that gang that started in the United States imported its members into El Salvador, and it was a cancer for 3 decades, 4 decades. El Salvador had no future. What happened was this man, Nayib, he declared war on organized crime. He declared war on the American cancer that was brought to his country. And yes, they just killed. Recent news showed that a Mexican governor of Uruapan, Michoacan, I think it's Uruapan, Michoacan in Mexico, they assassinated him. But let's continue. I'm sorry for him, rest in peace. This guy is considered to be a dictator by the West. And he tells the Westerners, like, yeah, I guess I'm the coolest dictator. Because guess what? He changed the Constitution so that the people could vote more than 1 term or 2 terms in El Salvador. He said the people will vote for whoever they want as many times as they want. This is the same thing that is happening in the Russian Federation. The people will vote for Vladimir Putin like people have been voting now for Nayib for as long as they want. Okay? And to prove to you that the people are voting in the right direction, I'm gonna show you something that's even more important. Let me set it up for you. Because a lot of people don't understand unless they see pictures. So I'm gonna do something really important for you. 1 second. It's gonna take me a while, I guess. Stay with me, guys. Thank you so much for watching this live. Please consider putting like again if you haven't already. My name is Dan Castle. I am an American, Mexican American who's living in Siberia and Russia. I have a beautiful wife and a beautiful young son who was born 1 day after Vladimir Putin. Well, 1 day after his birthday. Obviously not in the same year. Okay, here we go. Got it. All right. This is a graph that, let me know if you can see it. Okay, let me know if you can see it. The bottom number is the year, okay? Everybody tell me if you can see the number on the bottom, the year. This is the year, okay? And the left side is the GDP, the economy. Excuse me. 1991, it says the Soviet Union falls, the end of the Soviet Union. You can see the economy just falling all the way. Okay? The economy is falling. And if you remember, Vladimir Putin came in to be president in the year 2000, which is right here, right next to me. This is when Vladimir Putin becomes something of governance in the Russian Federation. Okay? He becomes the president in the year 2000. Of course, 1999 is when he was elected, I think, president after like an emergency president. But you truly see a rise when Putin becomes the leader of the Russian Federation. And this graph will just continue to go up. Yes, I think it's Yeltsin who left the presidency to Vladimir Putin. Now, I'm showing you this because you need to understand that the people will vote. The people will vote for the man who will bring them food, for the man who will bring them jobs, for the man who they can trust. And in this graph, which you can find this anywhere. The information is out there. I just wanted to do this live because I feel that people don't speak about it like this. So many other channels will clickbait you into saying, "Oh, I live in Russian dictatorship. How is it living in Russia today? Is Russia scary? Is Russia poor? Is Russia..." Shut the fuck up. Russia is a country with opportunities. Russia is a country that has been lied about so often, that has not been given the chance to show itself for what it truly is, because so many people abuse the word Russia on YouTube. You have these other channels who will essentially instill fear in you while showing you what Russia's really like. But they kind of play with your mind, right? And it's my hope that when I do these lives, that we show you the pictures, you can read along with me, you can learn some facts, and we can together learn more about Russia. Because today I learned that Russia is actually not underpopulated. Considering what's happened, you have to take into account what's happened to Russia in the past. It is not lowly populated. Russia has beautiful cities that are over 1 million, that are growing. Putin is not a dictator because Russia has many peoples, and you simply cannot control these people. There's no such thing as a dictatorship because the people of Siberia rule themselves and they live the Siberian life. Of course, President Putin is their leader, but he's not their dictator. This is a big difference. President Putin is the people's president. He is not their dictator. So, let's go ahead and take some questions from you guys. And I'll be happy to answer them. We're almost to 1 hour. Thanks for all the people who subscribe. Thanks for the donations. I appreciate everything. But I would really love to answer some of your guys' questions. Let's see here. Personally, as an Englishman, I love Russia, says Chris. Thank you, man. Thank you so much for being a positive person. Rafael says, any news about Dagestan? No news. I will send my son to Dagestan 2 to 3 years and forget, brother. Depends also which jurisdiction, like Okrug, Republic Rai, and Oblast. All of them have different structures, of course. Yes. Hey, Vaughn in the house. Yes, Vaughn says it in a beautiful way. He's a strong leader with a vision for his country. That is right. Russia Rican, my brother. If America found out how awesome Russia is, millions of Americans would flock. Yes, but I feel like I told this to my friend. It's like the song from Pink Floyd, like Comfortably Numb. People in America are comfortably numb. They are happy in the position that they're in. They don't like to be moved. So it is what it is. Joseph says, in April 2025, Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a decree renaming the airport of Volgograd to Stalingrad International Airport. That is freaking sick. As you guys know, Stalingrad being a site of probably the most important battle of the Second World War, the Great Patriotic War. Why? Because the Germans really broke their backs against the Red Army at Stalingrad. Russia has 1,700-year history, which puts the America with their only 250 years in perspective. Yeah, that's how it is. I don't think that 100,000 Americans have immigrated to Russia in the last 2 years. This is a false number. The number is probably somewhere about 5 to 10,000. 5 to 10,000. Do not believe sources from other people. I'm very much connected with the immigration process, people who come as immigrants to Russia. I'm very much connected with many of them because on my Telegram, by the way, if you want to stay connected with me, click the link down below, join our Telegram. Join our Telegram. Have you done any research on Tartaria? No, I have not. But you mean like Tartustan? Uh, where Kazan is in all of this. Goodfella says, when Russian kings were eating with gold and silverware, Americas were hunting birds with arrows. Yes, that's funny. Yeah, don't worry. Look, in my educated opinion, in my educated guess, you're looking at about 5 to 10,000 people from the United States. But the majority of the people I would say are coming from European countries altogether. All of Europe is probably bringing more people. Okay, so Europeans more than Americans are coming to Russia right now. One, it's closer. Two, a lot of the people from Europe are Russian Germans, Russian Estonians, Russian Finnish people who are coming back to their motherland. A lot of people who are living in Europe right now are descendants of Russians, and it's much easier for them to assimilate because they've already lived in European countries with the weather, with the culture. A lot of Eastern European countries have similar cultures to the Russians. Okay? I hope this kept in the conversation a little bit interesting for you, by the way. Really good topic, Mr. Blamo. I was gonna say Mr. Lambo because I know a Mr. Lambo, but you're Mr. Blamo. So, guys, any other questions, feel free to ask. We are heading into the last quarter of this live stream. Again, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It's free and you get to support a channel that is independent. I don't follow anybody. I don't say what other people say. A lot of these other channels, they are synchronized like the news to publish the same stuff. I try to keep it fresh when I can. Right now, my son is born, so I'm doing a lot of family videos, but I try my best to keep it fresh for you. Let's see, what are you guys talking about? Unrelated, Daniel, are you entitled to all the perks that Putin announced regarding the year of family? So my only entitlement as my son was born is to collect for housing, to buy a car, to building materials. The state gives you about $8,000 to $9,000, which is a lot. For my son being born, the government of Russia will give us eight to $9,000. This is going to help us big time because it goes into the savings, and we can, have less stress for the at least the first 2, 3 years, 4 years, even in Russia that my son is born, we can relax a little bit. Christopher says, "Why are you such a nice guy?" I think I'm a fair person, and which makes it look like I'm a nice guy. No, Vaughn, no snow. It snowed a few days ago, but then it melted. Any other questions, guys? Would love to read more questions. Thanks for the answer. In the radio, I heard they give like 1,000,000 rubles. No, they don't do an annual payment. They do almost 1,000,000 rubles for the first child. We are gonna get 690,000 rubles, I think that's how much it is. I believe so. 690,000 rubles. Thank you. Glad you like being in Russia. Da, я люблю Россию. So, no further questions. I really want to say from the bottom of my heart that I love making these lives for you. I love having this YouTube channel and I love connecting with you guys. Please click the link in the description. This is our Telegram channel. I'm going to link it in the chat. If you guys have Telegram, join our Telegram. Wait, I can't. What's going on here? 1 second. Okay, I've pinned our Telegram. If you have Telegram, please join our Telegram. Stay connected with us. Somebody asked, do you smoke cigarettes? I smoked in the war. I smoked about 100 cigarettes. I smoked about 100 cigarettes a day in the war. It was like 5 packs a day. A lot of people don't believe me, but that's what I smoked in the war. And I quit cold turkey after the war. I'm a wartime smoker. So our moderator says, how do you feel about being a dad, Mr. Wonderful? And are you planning to be a hero of Russia one day? My wife and I are both 30. Well, she's 36. I'm 35. I'm not going to be having 10 kids, but I'm going, and I've promised you guys, I've donated a lot of money and I continue to donate every month to orphans in my town. I continue to donate money. I've made videos about it. I don't need the kids to be mine. It takes a village to raise a child. I am going to raise my son and his generation. All of my son's friends will have shoes. All of my friends, thank you for subscribing, Mallory. All of my son's friends are gonna have shoes. All of my son's friends are gonna have food. All of my son's inner circle and his school even is gonna be taken care of by me. I don't need my wife to give 10 kids. I will dedicate my life to providing to the kids in my town. And this is something very important that's near to my heart. If you know my channel, you know that I've donated, I've made videos where we help people. And I do this because I owe it to my community who has welcomed me. And it's just how it is. I love being a dad because I have bigger dreams than ever. I love it. I hope that answers your question. Oh, Ginger, I love you. Welcome back. Sorry about that. Yes, that's right. We will try for at least one more. Well, we all smoked in the war because alcohol wasn't available in Afghanistan. That's right. We were all wartime smokers, especially for Marines. We weren't allowed to have alcohol in the war. You can't hear me properly? Sorry. What about now? Can you hear me now? Guys, if my microphone's not working, you guys can always tell me, and you can always tell me, and then I could change the microphone or try to fix it. And you know what? Dana's back. The troll is back. Dana, it's not bragging, you freaking clown. It's to push people to understand that when you're in a position like mine, you have to do it. If I'm bragging, how the hell would you even get any satisfaction from saying these things? I'm not that kind of person. It's so weird. Uh, it's so weird when people say it's bragging. It would be bragging if I was a person of different character. People can smell the bullshit really fast, right? And I'm not that fake person, but it is what it is. Dana, you just you need to rethink how your brain works. You could do whatever you want, Mr. Wonderful. You're a moderator, but yeah, that person's always trolling. Let's see. I am sorry I miss your lives. It's early most of the times when I'm home. Arkhangelsk Oblast here, very early. Yes, we plan on having another child, Ginger. You're gonna have another nephew or niece. But anyways, guys, when I say I donate, I don't do it for clout. There's nothing I can gain from saying to the people that I do this, but what I do hope is that people pay it forward. I want people to be inspired. I want their soul to wake up the next morning and say, you know what, I'm going to help someone. Do you know? Anyways, guys, it is 1:12 in the morning. I will commit this to memory. I will commit this to memory that this microphone is better so that you guys can hear me better. Bro, do you know that he has never once participated in a debate in 25 years? Debate? I don't think... I think that, like, foreigners think that everybody has to do it like the United States. Why do you have to debate with your competition? The people see how the country is and the people vote. Okay, when you debate and you have these stupid little shows, side shows, all it is a freaking circus. Okay, every clown watches and it's a circus. So I don't think that debates do anything. Okay, if you're a good leader, your actions speak for themselves and the people vote. And it is what it is. I think it's so weird that you want a world leader to debate with other potential world leaders. When you see the debates in the United States, they don't even talk about the real stuff. It's just a show. I think I'm lagging here. Let me know if I'm still live, guys. I'm just gonna give you my outro and then I'll leave you guys alone. I'm gonna give you my final thoughts, and it's gonna be a hot take because I'm lit up right now. You guys know how I am. Okay. Well, if I'm not lagging, I'm gonna give you guys a hot take because you guys know how I do. Okay, so. For the people who would ever consider that the United States is the right way to do things, go visit Skid Row in the United States. Go visit Paris and tell me how it smells. Okay? I am from Siberia. I'm a Siberian. My son is a Siberian. My wife is a Siberian. This is a territory that is known to be poor and disgusting and dirty and dangerous. But in this place, you will find cleaner roads, more hospitable people, safer places. The children who are 5, 6 years old play by themselves in the yards. If you think that the Western way of doing things, or the European and the United States way of doing things is the right way of doing things, and you're really thinking that Russia is doing something wrong by voting the same guy over and over again, then you are sleeping in the little cocoon inside of the Matrix. They are sucking you for your energy. You are so linked in that it's never going to change for you. You are so far gone that you're going to spend your lifetime, which is only maybe 60 to 80 years old, and you're going to spend it in that goo inside the matrix. You're being farmed. I believe that the Russian people are not being mind farmed like the people in the European Union and the United States and Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Okay? You need help. Love you guys. Thank you so much again for the donations. Thank you for the support. It's good to be back. We kept the views to a nice number. We had the likes at a nice number. Share this live with other people. I'm going to be making a short version for you, Ginger. I love you, my girl. I'm going to make a shorter version for you, and I'm going to publish this video tomorrow or midweek. This has been a practice for me because I'm going to be publishing a video maybe 15 to 16 minutes long, summarizing everything that we talked about today. Okay? Love you guys. See you